Every stitch in this sampler carries the quiet diligence of a young girl learning both art and virtue in 18th century America. This remarkable piece entered the guest's family after his maternal grandmother passed away, and he shared its fascinating history.
I took an interest in it 30 years back and was looking at these words that were on the back of the sampler that described the sampler having been done by this woman, Elizabeth, married to Daniel Stroud of Stroudsburg. Looked up possible places on a map and decided this must be Pennsylvania. This is my fourth great-grandmother did the sampler, and my fourth great-grandfather is Daniel Stroud of Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania.
Stitched in 1788 by Elizabeth Shoemaker, it stands as both a document of early American education and a lasting example of feminine artistry from the late 18th century.
She probably emigrated to the United States from Germany. She met Daniel Stroud, and they were married. In fact, they were married about 4 years after the sampler was worked. She was 14 when this was worked, and she was married at 18.
Created during the formative years of the New Republic, it reflects the era's belief that beauty and morality could be taught side by side, through needle and thread. The sampler is worked on a hand-woven linen ground, using silk threads in shades of green, blue, gold, and brown, with touches of wool to add depth and texture. Girls between 8 and 15 often made samplers like this as exercises in literacy and arithmetic, as well as in fine needlework. Once completed, they became proud displays in the family home, proof of diligence, refinement, and moral upbringing. Elizabeth Shoemaker's sampler embodies the ideals of post-revolutionary America: education, virtue, and domestic accomplishment, united in one quiet but powerful artifact. Given its provenance, artistry, and exceptional state of preservation, a piece like this would be valued at
On this piece would be somewhere in the vicinity of $25,000.
Really? That's amazing to me.
Right. It's a winner.
I'm speechless. I thought it had a couple $1,000s of value.
These colorful banners once waved in celebration of a day that changed San Francisco forever. They commemorate the May 27, 1937 opening of the Golden Gate Bridge, an engineering marvel that came to symbolize not only the city's skyline, but also the spirit of American innovation and optimism during the Great Depression. Made of cotton, the banners are screen-printed with bold Art Deco imagery. The bridge's unmistakable silhouette rising between radiant beams of light, framed by streamlined lettering that reads, Golden Gate Bridge Fiesta. They capture the confidence of the era, when design and industry merged to shape a distinctly modern America. Originally, these banners belonged to the guest's father, who attended the opening celebration in person.
In 1937, he sold newspapers on Market Street, and I guess these were positioned on the street lamps, and he may have climbed up to take them down, I'm not sure.
You never got the full story?
Never got the full story.
So we can invent one about maybe him climbing up and taking them down.
Even more remarkably, the original event ticket has survived alongside them. The ticket, issued for the official pedestrian day on May 27, 1937, allowed visitors to walk across the bridge before it opened to automobiles.
So it went for a week, but the first day was pedestrian day, when you could walk the bridge before they had opened it up to automobile traffic.
I understand the weight of all the pedestrians on the bridge caused it to sag.
Right, well, the whole point of a suspension bridge is that it's going to move, it's going to have some give. There were like 18,000 people waiting in line to get across the bridge, and I think the whole day there were 200,000 folks that actually walked across that bridge that day. And a couple people actually roller skated that day across the bridge, so it was a big day.
It bears an embossed seal, serial numbering, and a printed image of the bridge in vivid red and blue ink, a perfect souvenir of that monumental day. Together, the banners and tickets stand as tangible relics of civic pride, modernist design, and one of the most celebrated public works of the 20th century. At auction today, a collection of Golden Gate Bridge opening memorabilia like this would be valued at
The ticket on its own is pretty cool, even though a lot of folks did cross. A ticket like that can sell for around $30 to $50 at auction. But the banners themselves, what's neat about them, you've got one in English and one in Spanish. Realistically, at auction, individually, these are worth about $500 a piece. So you've got about $1,000 plus worth of material here, and again, priceless to your family. So I thank you for bringing them in, and I just love them.
Great, thanks very much.
This bronze captures both heroism and tragedy, immortalizing General Charles Gordon, the British officer whose final stand at Khartoum became one of the defining legends of the Victorian age. In 1884, Gordon was dispatched to Sudan by the British government to oversee the evacuation of Egyptian troops and civilians as Mahdist forces closed in. But rather than withdraw, he defied orders, choosing instead to defend Khartoum. For 10 months, he held the city under siege. On January 26, 1885, Khartoum fell. Gordon was killed on the steps of his palace, just 2 days before the British relief expedition arrived. His death electrified the British public, turning him into a symbol of moral courage and sacrifice, immortalized in paintings, memorials, and political discourse for decades to come. This bronze likeness of Gordon was sculpted by Sir William Hamo Thornycroft in 1888, one of Britain's foremost sculptors and a leading figure in the new sculpture movement. Thornycroft sought to infuse traditional heroic statuary with emotional depth and naturalism, capturing not just the likeness, but the spirit of his subjects. The bronze exhibits Thornycroft's signature blend of classical grace and psychological realism. The calm determination in Gordon's face, balanced by the quiet dignity of his stance.
Thornycroft was an important sculptor of the period. He was a leader of a movement called the New Sculpture. It was sort of a movement away from traditional academic sculpture into more modern sculpture.
On the reverse, the name of the gallery that cast this edition is inscribed, confirming its authenticity and period production. Though showing minor wear consistent with age, this piece remains a powerful relic of British imperial history and late 19th century sculpture. At auction today, a Hamo Thornycroft bronze of General Gordon would be valued at
Would probably be in the $4,000 to $5,000 range.
Wow. Guess who's worth it?
Long before Wayne Thiebaud became synonymous with glossy cakes and candy-colored pies, he was exploring form, light, and emotion through early prints like One Summer of Happiness. Thiebaud, an iconic American painter, is celebrated for his vivid, colorful depictions of everyday objects, from desserts and candy to commonplace items imbued with charm and texture. While often associated with pop art, his work is deeply rooted in traditional painting techniques, thick impasto, careful observation, and a mastery of light and shadow.
And he's best known for his impastoed paintings of confectionery and cakes and
Pies and ice creams.
Yeah, and his views of the hills of San Francisco. He got his Master of Fine Arts degree at the State College here in Sacramento. And Wayne Thiebaud, born in 1920, is still living and working.
I hear he still plays tennis.
That's fantastic.
This particular piece was a gift to the guest's father, personally inscribed by the artist.
And I believe this is his first wife, but I'm not sure. That's family lore. It's inscribed to Zach, which is my father,
Right.
One Summer of Happiness.
Yes.
And my father worked for the Southern Pacific Railroad, and he could adjust his schedule so that he had days free to volunteer at the art show at the old state fairgrounds.
Right.
Created in 1954, it captures Thiebaud in a transitional phase, experimenting with scale, composition, and color, while exploring nostalgia and everyday beauty. Executed as a limited edition screen print, it is signed in pencil and numbered, marking it as part of a small exclusive run.
It's a small edition. He was not doing large editions. He was not yet such a famous artist, so it's edition of 22. And most of these are small editioned or not even editioned at all. Even though it's 6 of 22, I've never seen another example of this print.
The print depicts a female figure holding a bird, rendered with Thiebaud's emerging playful sense of perspective and vibrant palette, a precursor to the joyous, confectionery scenes that would define his later career. Early prints like This are exceedingly rare, offering a glimpse into the formative stages of one of America's most beloved artists. In today's market, a work of this provenance and quality would command a significant price, estimated at.
So, keeping that in mind, this wonderful early print, I would put at auction at $3,000 to $5,000.
Oh, okay. That's great.
If it had been framed and kept flat, I think at auction a conservative estimate would be $6,000 to $9,000.
What we have here are two remarkable garments from early 20th century England, each reflecting personal taste, refined craftsmanship, and the elegance of the period. The first piece is a lady's green velvet jacket featuring bell-shaped sleeves split and lined with shimmering gold lame fabric. The jacket is hand-embroidered with gold and silver metallic threads, creating a luxurious, luminous effect that speaks to both artistry and status. Its construction and decorative details highlight the attention to craftsmanship typical of the era. In an auction setting, this exquisite early 20th century English jacket would be worth. The second piece comes from the legendary Liberties of London, the historic department store and design house founded in 1875. Renowned for luxurious fabrics, innovative textile designs, and quintessentially British style, Liberties became synonymous with quality and elegance.
This piece is in very good condition. Liberty of London in this period would have been the epitome of the aesthetic movement, exactly what they were looking for, art for art's sake, medieval historical costumes.
This silk tea gown dates to the 1890s and reflects a medieval-inspired aesthetic, complete with split sleeves, hand-decorated scrolling vines, and a graceful Watteau back. Remarkably well-preserved, it exemplifies the artistry of Liberties at the height of its influence, and today, this dress would be worth.
So in terms of value, the green jacket has a retail value of $2,500 to $3,000, and the Liberty medieval-styled tea gown has a value between $5,000 and $6,000 at retail.
Sold.
You did was sold, exactly.
On display is a weapon that quietly reflects the style and stature of its original owner. For decades, this sword hung in the guest's grandmother's living room, a striking reminder of family history, before it was passed down to her.
And she always told me that the sword was George Washington's dress sword and was given to a relative, believed to be an aide-de-camp to George Washington. So I did a little bit of paperwork, a little research, and I believe this belonged to Josiah Pratt, who is 7 times removed grandfather.
Nice, nice.
It is said to have belonged to Josiah Pratt, a militia officer active during the American Revolutionary period. Pratt served in one of the local colonial militias that played a vital role in defending settlements and supporting the Continental forces.
But he was a militia officer. He had been a militia officer most of his life, and he needed to have a badge of rank. And the badge of rank for these people would have been a small sword just like this.
This elegant Boston silver hilt small sword exemplifies the refined craftsmanship of mid-18th century New England. Silversmiths of the time were known for blending function with artistry, creating weapons that were as much symbols of status as they were tools of defense. Swords like this were worn by officers, merchants, and gentlemen, a mark of social rank and gentility rather than an instrument of combat. The hilt, crafted by a Boston artisan, beautifully combines colonial American design with the influence of English Rococo style. Its tapered, triangular section steel blade made in Germany was designed for thrusting rather than slashing, another mark of refinement over brute force.
They were being imported in big numbers. They'd ship barrels of these over. And sometimes they would be hilted here, sometimes they'd be hilted in England and shipped over. But this one's a Boston hilt.
Though the sword is missing its original wire wrap, its pommel form and ferrules remain intact, preserving its overall integrity and aesthetic balance. A piece like this is more than just a weapon. It's a tangible link to America's early history and the men who helped shape it. In its present condition, and given its craftsmanship and provenance, this Boston silver hilt small sword would be worth.
It would be worth, at auction, in the $3,000 to $5,000 range, given the history that it has. If it had Boston touch marks on it, it would probably be in the $8,000 to $12,000 range at auction.
Wow.
But with the history you've got and the form, I think we can really identify it to Captain Josiah Pratt. And that's wicked cool. It is.
I love it.
It's, you know, when I saw it and I saw the story, I went, oh my God, this is fantastic. So I was pretty excited to see it. And thank you for bringing it in today.
Thank you,
It's
Joel.
awesome.
Each of these items reflects artistry shaped by the ocean, ceremony, and ancestral spirit.
The canoe prow he bought from a dealer, and I think he paid $450 for that.
Okay.
And this is back late 60s. The Mortlock Island mask, I think he paid $2,000, and he purchased that from the Rose Bowl swap meet.
These two remarkable artifacts embody the deep spiritual and navigational traditions of the Pacific. Both reveal the expressive craftsmanship and symbolic depth of oceanic cultures, where wood carving was central to ritual, lineage, and seafaring life. The first piece, a Mortlock mask, originated in Micronesia's Caroline Islands. Ceremonial masks like this were used in initiation rites, funerary ceremonies, and acts of ancestral veneration. Because of the island's isolation and the fragility of the organic materials used, authentic examples are exceedingly rare today. Dating to the late 19th century, this mask shows gentle wear consistent with its age, traces that only enhance its authenticity and cultural resonance.
You can see down here on the edges and on the nose, the eyes are popped out a little bit, and we have some conditions on the back.
Right.
That in itself does hurt the value a little bit, but it also tells us that it's probably been used.
Right.
So in that sense, it's good.
Given its rarity and historical importance, a Mortlock mask of this quality would command a price of.
I would say you should probably insure this for $30,000 to $40,000.
In contrast, the second piece is a canoe prow ornament from the Solomon Islands, once mounted on the front of a large war canoe. These carved figures, known as guzunguzu, were believed to protect warriors at sea and guide their vessels safely through both physical and spiritual dangers.
Some of the research indicates that these things could be displayed prominently when they were returning from a hunting party to indicate that everyone was safe.
Got it.
Whether that's true or not, I don't know.
Carved from dense tropical hardwood, this example depicts a spirit figure with an elongated head, inlaid shell eyes, and an offering bowl held in both hands. Its surface is richly detailed with curvilinear motifs and shell inlays, emphasizing both artistry and symbolism.
When you look at the hairstyle on this, the way the treatment is on the earrings, and I'm just going to turn this so the camera can see the earring and they can see the raised surface on the top of the ear and the bottom of the ear.
Also dating to the late 19th century, this traditional canoe prow is a powerful emblem of oceanic belief and craftsmanship. And in today's market, a collector's piece like this would be worth
maybe $20,000 to $25,000 on an insurance value.
Got it.
Did I answer all your questions?
You did, yes.
Do you have any more questions?
At first glance, it may appear to be a painting, but as you look closer, the illusion gives way to astonishing craftsmanship. This is actually a micro-mosaic inherited by the guest from his grandmother, who was an antique dealer.
And it used to be in her home. As long as I can remember growing up, it was in our home. And I always loved it. I was amazed that something made from stone or ceramic could actually look like a painting.
The plaque portrays Beatrice Cenci, the tragic 16th century Roman noblewoman whose story inspired artists, writers, and reformers across Europe. Rendered in minute tesserae of glass and enamel, this work demonstrates the technical mastery and emotional depth of Michelangelo, Michel, Moglia's Roman workshop, active during the height of the Grand Tour era.
These are neither ceramic or stone. These are actually glass.
Ah.
They made them in tiny sizes and so many different colors. Up to 15,000 different colors in glass would have been made to create micro-mosaic artworks. The technique really sort of came into its own in the 18th century and into the 19th century as increasing numbers of grand tourists visited Italy.
Moglia was among the most accomplished Roman micro-mosaicists of the 19th century, producing museum-quality panels and tabletop plaques that reproduced Renaissance and Baroque masterpieces.
Some people say that Guido Reni, the artist of the original painting on which this is based, visited her the night before she was beheaded. That's just hearsay, though, I believe, but it's one of the stories, unsubstantiated, about how this painting was created. She was executed in 1599. Guido Reni painted the original painting on which this is copied in 1600.
The composition faithfully interprets the famed portrait traditionally attributed to Guido Reni, transforming the iconic oil painting into a durable mosaic while preserving both the sitter's melancholy beauty and heroic pathos. The tessellation is exceptionally fine, so precise that, from a distance, it creates a painterly effect. The palette includes soft flesh tones, pearl whites, and muted blues, all set against a dark ground that amplifies the sitter's luminosity. Micromosaics of this scale and quality are exceedingly rare. Considering its artistry, historical significance, and the reputation of Moglia's workshop, this piece would be valued at,
I would think, an insurance valuation of $85,000.
Cool.
Would be a fair price.
Excellent.